I first went to the Central Library, and they looked at me like I was crazy. So that's why I was a couple minutes late. Okay, so this, actually, never mind. Okay, so it was 3 years ago, the first semester of graduate school. I was studying environmental management at Duke University in North Carolina. And there's something about going to a prestigious school like Duke that just makes everyone an asshole their first semester. People are strutting around, showing their tail feathers, talking about their internship at the World Wildlife Fund, or the time they met E.O. Wilson, the father of sociobiology, or the time that they traveled through East Asia as a National Geographic explorer. Furthermore, everyone knew exactly what they wanted to do after graduate school and exactly what they wanted to study. I hate to admit it, but I did this too. I glorified my experience as a research assistant in Hawaii, studying humpback whales and spinner dolphins, but this research really amounted to me arduously hiking 3 miles every day up a cliff made out of sharp volcanic rock that required me to wear a helmet, just so I could sit on a cliff and stare with my eyes glued to binoculars 8 hours a day looking for dolphin pods. Eventually, with our first exams, projects, and all-nighters behind us, we were all brought back down to earth and we became more authentic with each other, and ultimately some of them became some of my very closest friends. Anyway, all of that is kind of context for my story tonight, which is called The Burrito Bandit. So, I'm off to a good start, thank you. One morning, I was frantically getting my stuff together before catching the bus to class. Per usual, I failed to prep my lunch the night before as I promised myself to do. So on my way out the door, I swung open the freezer and went for my default, Amy's frozen burrito, vegetarian burritos. They're great if you haven't tried them. But I made a fatal mistake and did not pay attention to which burrito I snatched. The traditional bean and rice burrito, the hipster black and bean and quinoa burrito, or the oh-so-satisfying black beans and vegetables. I will never know. Once I got to campus, I tossed my burrito in the freezer and zoomed off to class. Several hours pass and I am ravenous. I had about 15 minutes to warm up my burrito, scarf it down, and make it to the vans for a forestry field trip. I did just that, quite successfully I might add. I was one of the first people in the van, sitting there happy with my belly full of lukewarm burrito. But next thing I know, Mitzi is climbing into the van and she is close to fuming. Mitzi is now one of my closest friends, but at the time I was still getting to know her. She is a little spitfire, a tiny firecracker who is not afraid to ask any questions, has no filter whatsoever, and has the best, most guttural laugh you've ever heard. So, I knew that she was going to be a good friend of mine, but I didn't want to spoil it. Oh wait, hold on, sorry, I got kind of distracted. Oh yeah, it had definitely occurred to me at this point that she and I could be really great friends, and I was still trying to play it cool around her. Anyway, as she was climbing to the back of the van to sit by me, she was ranting on and on about somebody who stole her lunch. She was hangry and infuriated, and so was I and everyone else in the van. Once she strapped in, she told us the full story. That morning, she put a frozen burrito in the fridge, and when she went to warm it up, it was gone. I wish to God I could go back in time and see myself at that point. I imagine it like one of those movies where the camera like zips over into my face and zooms in really close and my eyes are wide and my cheeks are flushed. She felt so violated. She thought people in grad school who would want to save the environment were better than that. At this point, I went through all of the scenarios. Surely it was someone else. I asked her what style the burrito was. And just as soon as she answered, I realized I had no idea what mine was, and furthermore, I had paid no attention to what I had just eaten. I asked her if there was another kind of burrito in the freezer left after she checked, and she said, no, nothing. Eventually, I started second-guessing if I even ever brought a burrito in that day. Did I just intend to bring a burrito? Do I remember putting it in the freezer, or was that even a different day? I was no longer expressing disdain for this thief because I knew the truth. I, Audrey Archer, was the Burrito Bandit. People started feeling really bad for her, and they were handing her crumbs of their leftover lunches like she was some sort of stray dog. And I wondered out loud, like, I mean, maybe it was an accident. And Audrey, no! How does someone accidentally steal a burrito? I'm doing a perfect impression of her. I consider for a hot second whether or not I should just come clean or deal with a guilty conscience forever. And I decided to keep it in. I hated thinking that I could screw up a potential new friendship over a damn burrito. Well, this story ended up living on beyond that day and beyond that field trip. It lived on and on for the next 2 years. In fact, people stealing other people's lunches actually became a thing in our school. There were notes posted on notes on the refrigerator telling people not to steal lunches. Mitzi and I ultimately became excellent friends not too long after that. We have shared many bottles of wine, and there were times when I strongly considered coming clean, but I lost my nerve every time. So the first time I told this story was after graduating during a road trip with 4 of my closest friends. Not just told the story, but like admitted it to anybody. I told them on our road trip on our way to Charleston for Mitzi's wedding. I just thought it'd be a funny story to share.
Oh.
And my friends, they were all in disbelief because they all knew this story, and our whole cohort did, and they did not stop laughing for the next 30 minutes. I told them that I still felt guilty and that I wanted to tell Mitzi, but I was scared because it had been so long at that point. It's like, was our whole friendship founded on a lie? They all thought I should tell her. The second time I told this story was 2 days later on the microphone at her rehearsal dinner. Thanks, guys.
I love it.